The year was 1939. The world watched as Europe plunged into a conflict of unimaginable scale. This was World War II, a global war that would forever change the course of human history. It was a war unlike any other, fought across continents from the deserts of North Africa to the islands of the Pacific. Millions of soldiers and civilians were caught in the crossfire. The world held its breath, uncertain of the outcome but forever marked by the conflict's devastating impact. The stakes were incredibly high. The very survival of democracy and the fundamental rights of individuals were in jeopardy. The lessons learned from World War II are as relevant today as they were then. To understand the outbreak of World War II, we must journey back to the aftermath of World War I. The Treaty of Versailles, designed to bring peace, instead sowed the seeds of future conflict. Germany, blamed for the war, was forced to accept harsh penalties. They lost territory, faced crippling economic reparations, and endured the humiliation of disarmament. This bred resentment and instability, creating fertile ground for extremist ideologies to take root. In Germany, Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party capitalized on nationalist sentiment, promising to restore German glory and overturn the injustices of Versailles. Meanwhile, in Italy, Benito Mussolini had already established a fascist regime, built on a foundation of aggressive nationalism and a disdain for democracy. His success served as a dangerous model for other aspiring dictators, including Hitler. The world watched with growing unease as these totalitarian regimes set the stage for another global conflict. The world watched nervously as Hitler, emboldened by his growing power, began to test the resolve of the international community. In 1938, he annexed Austria, a move met with little more than a slap on the wrist. The policy of appeasement, driven by a desire to avoid another devastating war, only served to encourage further aggression. Then in 1939, the storm finally broke. Germany invaded Poland, a blatant act of aggression that shattered the fragile peace. This act finally forced Britain and France to declare war on Germany. World War II had begun. The early years of the war saw a string of stunning victories for the Axis powers. Germany's blitzkrieg tactics proved devastatingly effective. Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, and finally France fell in rapid succession. The speed and ferocity of the German advance shocked the world. The fall of France in June 1940 was a particularly bitter blow. Paris, the City of Lights, fell under Nazi occupation. With much of Europe under its control, Germany turned its attention towards Britain. The Battle of Britain, an epic clash of air power, commenced in the skies over England. The Battle of Britain was a pivotal moment in the war. The fate of Britain, and perhaps the entire free world, hung in the balance. The Luftwaffe launched relentless air raids on British cities and airfields, determined to crush British morale. However, the British refused to break. The Royal Air Force, aided by a sophisticated radar system and the unwavering spirit of the British people, fought back with fierce determination. The Battle of Britain was a costly but crucial victory for the Allies. It shattered the aura of invincibility that had surrounded the German military. In June 1941, Hitler broke his non-aggression pact with Stalin, unleashing the full fury of the German war machine upon the Soviet Union. Operation Barbarossa, as it was known, was a massive invasion, the largest military operation in human history. Millions of German soldiers poured across the Soviet border, catching Stalin and the Red Army off guard. Meanwhile, in the Pacific, Japan, allied with Germany and Italy, made its own bid for power. On December 7, 1941, Japanese aircraft attacked the US naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The surprise attack shocked the American people and propelled the United States into the war. The world watched in horror as the conflict expanded, engulfing vast swathes of the globe. The world was truly ablaze, locked in a fight for survival against the forces of fascism and tyranny. The year 1942 marked a turning point in the war. The Battle of Stalingrad, a brutal, months-long struggle for control of the strategically vital city in southern Russia, became a symbol of Soviet resistance. The German Sixth Army, once considered invincible, was decimated in the bitter street fighting and the harsh Russian winter. On June 6, 1944, known as D-Day, Allied forces launched a massive amphibious assault on the beaches of Normandy, France. This daring operation marked the beginning of the liberation of Western Europe. American, British and Canadian troops fought their way ashore, facing fierce resistance from the entrenched German defenders. From the east and the west, the Allies closed in on Germany. In the Pacific, American forces fought a grueling island-hopping campaign, pushing the Japanese back towards their homeland. Victory, though still costly and hard-fought, was finally within reach. While battles raged across land, sea and air, a different kind of horror unfolded under the cover of war, the Holocaust. This systematic state-sponsored persecution and murder of 6 million Jews by the Nazi regime remains one of the darkest chapters in human history. Driven by a twisted ideology rooted in racial hatred and anti-Semitism, the Nazis implemented a plan to exterminate the Jewish people. Jews were stripped of their rights, their property, and ultimately, their lives. The Holocaust stands as a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked hatred and the fragility of human civilization. It serves as a chilling testament to the depths of human depravity and a stark warning about the dangers of indifference and inaction in the face of evil. By 1945, Germany, battered from all sides, faced inevitable defeat. The once mighty Nazi war machine lay in ruins, crushed between the advancing Soviet armies in the east and the Allied forces in the west. On April 30th, 1945, as Soviet troops stormed the heart of Berlin, Hitler committed suicide in his underground bunker. On May 7th, 1945, Germany surrendered unconditionally to the Allies. In the Pacific, the war raged on for several more months. The United States, determined to force Japan's unconditional surrender, unleashed a new weapon of unimaginable destructive power, the atomic bomb. On August 6, 1945, an American B-29 bomber dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, instantly killing tens of thousands of people. 3 days later, a second atomic bomb devastated the city of Nagasaki. Faced with overwhelming force and the prospect of utter annihilation, Japan surrendered to the Allies on August 15, 1945, bringing World War II to an end. The victory came at a staggering cost. The end of World War II marked the beginning of a new era, one shaped by the war's profound consequences. The world, weary from conflict but determined to prevent future atrocities, embarked on a path of rebuilding and reconciliation. In 1945, representatives from 50 nations met in San Francisco to establish the United Nations, an international organization dedicated to maintaining international peace and security. However, even as the world celebrated victory, the seeds of a new conflict were being sown. The wartime alliance between the Western Allies and the Soviet Union began to unravel. This ideological divide led to the Cold War, a period of geopolitical tension and rivalry that would define international relations for the next 4 decades. World War II, a conflict of unimaginable scale and devastation, stands as a stark reminder of the human capacity for both good and evil. It is a story of heroism and sacrifice, of resilience in the face of adversity, and the enduring human spirit's triumph over darkness. The war's legacy continues to shape our world today, reminding us of the importance of understanding the past to navigate the present and build a better future. The lessons of World War II remain as relevant as ever. The importance of international cooperation, the need to confront and challenge extremist ideologies, and the constant vigilance required to safeguard human rights and freedoms. We must never forget the sacrifices made by those who fought for a better world.